Hi and welcome everyone to another video. My name is Denis and today I'm going to show you a free draft, a wildcard draft, and also we're going to be discussing different things you need to know ahead of Gaming 15 of Fantasy Premier League. So let's just get into it. Okay guys, so as I said before, today we're going to discuss about a lot of things regarding FPL. I'm going to show you a free draft, a wildcard draft for Gaming 15, and also in the last part we're going to discuss about some cheap strategies. So make sure you be here. Feel free to jump to any part of the video you want. I'm going to try to advise you. If any one of you still have some chips left, I'm going to try to give my advice on that. Now it is a little bit early to make this video. Probably there are still some games to be played today, and tomorrow Manchester United are going to play also against West Ham. So again, this is a really quick turnaround. The deadlines are coming really thick and fast. And firstly, I wanted to make some videos because obviously there is a lot of news in this gaming, but I just thought that why not just make a free draft, a wildcard draft, and this is the best way for me to just discuss about how I would be using the free, how I will be using the wildcard. We're going to discuss about a lot of other players, obviously. Foden, maybe you're thinking about buying someone like Foden, maybe you're thinking about buying someone like Gakpo. So we're going to discuss about everything you need to know pretty much about Gaming 15. So we're going to preview Gaming 15. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. But again, let's see what's going to happen in tonight's games. But without further ado, let's discuss a little bit about this draft. This is a free draft, what you see on the screen. Now let me just put up the fixtures for Gaming 15 to have a better image. Again, if you want to use your free, there are some good gaming still to use the chip. Obviously, Gaming 15, Gaming 16, it is really team dependent, and I don't really want to use that word, but it really is. Just take a look at when your team is going to look really bad, and also when do you think that you want to use your free, because again, it's about your team, obviously. Now looking at the fixtures for Gaming 15, straight up I'm just going to say we need to target Manchester City, who are going to play against Sunderland. With Man City, we're going to discuss a lot, I think, in this video about them. They played, obviously, the games are coming thick and fast, and we have a lot of games. Obviously, with Manchester City, everyone is worried about rotation, and that could happen. But again, I just think that we should target to have some players from Manchester City against Sunderland. Newcastle against Burnley, straight away I would have 3 players from Newcastle, 3 players from Manchester City. Liverpool also are playing against Leeds, but we're also going to talk about Liverpool. So in Gaming 15 you have a lot of good fixtures to target, so it's going to be pretty much a dilemma which players you want to pick. Wolverhampton, Man United, I would target from some players from Manchester United. So yeah, pretty much these are the fixtures I would target mostly. This is a good opportunity to use the free if you want to go, obviously, against the players from Arsenal. If you want to have some players from Arsenal against Aston Villa away, that's perfectly fine, but it's just not the best fixture, and I would try to avoid them. The same goes for Bournemouth against Chelsea. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Now straight up, I'm just going to talk a little bit about this free draft. I have 0 minutes in the bank, so maybe you can't afford it, maybe you can make some changes, obviously. Let's start with Newcastle, because I would have 3 players from Newcastle for sure in this fixture. And as you can see from the screen, I'm going with Chow, Gordon, and Voldemort. Now you could go different options, right? If you want, you could just go for double Newcastle defense. In that case, I would go for Ramsdale probably in goal, because we know that he's going to play, and Chow, and probably Gordon. I think that again, someone like Gordon is here just because he didn't start in Game Week 14, and I just expect him to start against Burnley. He came in the second half, he scored a penalty, so he's on penalties. Maybe his minutes are not going to, I don't think that Gordon is going to play 90 minutes. So if you want a player who's going to play 90 minutes, probably Gordon is not the best choice for you. But I just think that 60, 75, 70 minutes could be enough for you on a free, and I just think that he's a huge differential on penalties. I really think that he's going to start. Now, can I guarantee it? Yeah, of course not. So I would go for Gordon, Voldemort, and Chow, probably from Newcastle. From Manchester City, it is a little bit more harder now. Haaland obviously is going to be on your free. And then in midfield, I would go for Foden. Basically, why also I advise a lot of people to go for Foden in Gaming 13. I just think that he's the most nailed midfielder at the moment from Manchester City. Could he be rested? Man City are going to play against Real Madrid in the Champions League after this game against Sunderland, so we could see some rotation from Manchester City. But again, I think that we should take that chance. If you're using the free in Game Week 15, I think that you're going to go with some Man City players. So someone like Foden, someone like O'Reilly, these players could be rotated, could be benched. It is not out of the question, let's be honest. So if you don't want to have that headache on a free, just don't go with them. But again, Foden from Game Week 4, he played pretty much all the minutes. And yeah, I just think that if you want to go for a midfielder, I would go for him. You could go for triple Man City attack. That's not out of the question. If you think that's more like Doku, so more like Cherky maybe is going to start, that's okay. If not, in defense, if you want to go super safe, I would say that just go for Guardiol if you can afford it. But if not, I think that O'Reilly is obviously the most interesting option from them. So we have 6 spots locked in pretty much. I think that you should have 3 players from Man City and 3 players from Newcastle. Then it's about Man United. Let's discuss a little bit about them. Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo. Let's see. Bruno Fernandes at the moment, he's a doubt, I think, for tomorrow's game against West Ham. We know that after the Crystal Palace game, he felt a little bit of an injury. At the moment, we don't know. Let's see if he's going to play against West Ham. But if he's going to be fit, I would go probably for Bruno Fernandes here against Wolverhampton. And I would go also for Mbeumo. So I would go for a double up in attack. If you want to go also for someone like Kune, I think that's perfectly fine. But then we have 2 players from Liverpool. Again, it is a shame that we don't have really good options from Liverpool at the moment who are safe. If you want to go for, I don't know, if you can afford someone like Virgil van Dijk instead of Tarkovsky, that could work out. It's a fixture against Leeds. Liverpool were good defensively against West Ham, but other than that, they were really bad. So I'm not sure how many players from Liverpool I would have on a free. And as you can see, I don't have Mohamed Salah on a free. Now, maybe you think that's crazy, but again, he was benched against West Ham. I'm really curious to see if he's going to be benched again against Sunderland in Game Week 14. And if that's going to be the case, I just think that you can't really risk it. Now, I'm still expecting Mohamed Salah to play some games for Liverpool, right? But on a free, going for a 14 million player and just to not be sure if he's going to start or not, yeah, I just don't know if that's the best strategy to go. So I would go for someone like Gakpo, probably. Let's see if he's going to start also. And I have also Alisson Becker in goal. We're going to discuss about other options. Also, there are a lot of combination to go on a free 15. As you can see, I have Tarkovsky, who's going to play against Nottingham Forest at home. I have a pretty decent bench also because if you're not going to go for Salah, you have a lot of money to go for other players. And as you can see from the screen, I've gone with without Arsenal defenders. So on a free, let's discuss a little bit about the goalkeeper options. I wouldn't go for Raya. You could go for Donnarumma. This is a good thing. If you think that O'Reilly, someone like O'Reilly, could be benched, you could just go for someone like Donnarumma in goal. And then let's say you're going to go for another defender. Let's put here, I'm not sure if I can afford Konate, but again, someone like that. Or you could just play someone like Romero. So talking about the other goalkeepers, Pickford against Nottingham Forest at home, it is an okay fixture. I wouldn't go for Leno, I wouldn't go for Petrovic. Verbruggen, again, if you want a cheap option, could be okay against West Ham at home. I didn't talk about Brighton also have a nice fixture against West Ham, and I don't have any Brighton players, which is kind of crazy, but you can have them all in this free. If you don't want to go for Liverpool players, just have someone like Welbeck, someone like Verbruggen, someone like Minte. The other goalkeepers, Vicario against Brentford at home. Uh, yeah, if you want to go for the goalkeeper for Manchester United, yeah, I'm not sure if I would go there. And then, yeah, it sells, Ramsdale against Burnley at home. If you want to go for a different option in defense from Newcastle. If we look at the best defenders, obviously the defenders from Manchester City, from Liverpool, we talked about them. Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to double up on Liverpool, honestly, on a free, but I think that if you want to go safe, Virgil van Dijk, Alisson Becker, these are the best options to go. Um, Calafiori, again, I wouldn't go for them. I wouldn't go for a Chelsea defender. So it's pretty much Newcastle, Spurs, if you want to go a little bit different. Guardiol, someone like you could even go for someone like Munoz, but it is against Fulham away, so I'm not so sure how big are the chances for Crystal Palace to get a clean sheet. So probably I would just avoid or just go for someone like Tarkovsky from Everton, who's good for defensive contributions, who also has a little bit of an attacking threat. So yeah, pretty much these are the options you want to go on a free. In midfield, we have a lot of them. You could go for someone like Bukayo Saka against Aston Villa away. I just don't think that this is the best fixture to target Arsenal player, as I said before so many times. I wouldn't go for Semenyo, Cunha, Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes. It's pretty much just go with whichever player from Manchester United are you feeling. Probably all of them are going to be fit for this game against Wolverhampton, and it is a nice fixture. Gakpo, we talked about him. Rice could be an option. From Newcastle, you could go for someone like Bruno Guimaraes, you could go for someone like Barnes, but again, on a free, if I would go for a midfielder from Newcastle, probably it would be Anthony Gordon. Doku, we talked about him, and yeah, pretty much that's it. I think that we covered pretty much all the other midfielders. Now in attack, Haaland, Mateta is an option if you can afford him. Raul Jimenez, I don't think that I would go for him. Thiago, I don't think that I would go for him on a free. Another thing you could do if we get some information, let's see which striker is going to play for Liverpool tonight. You could go for someone like Isak, or you could go for someone like Ekitike, depending on whichever one you think he's going to start against Leeds away. I think that's also a nice differential. And as I said before, someone like Welbeck also could be here if you think that the minutes for Voltemad are going to be reduced or something. That Welbeck is a striker on penalties playing for Brighton, so I think that he's also a nice option if you want to go there. There are a lot of possibility basically. So yeah, I think that we talked a lot about the free. Let's move to the wildcard draft. Alright guys, now moving forward, let me show you this wildcard draft for Gaming 15 I've just prepared. Now if I had the chip available, the wildcard chip, this is the closest for me I would be going. Now again, it's all team dependent. Again, it really depends if you have any more chips available, if you want to use your free in Gaming 16, if you want to use your bench boost in Gaming 16, if you have your triple captain left. So again, it's all team dependent, but we're going to discuss about my picks. I have 0.4 millions in the bank, and yeah, this is how I would go on a wildcard. To be honest with you, looking at this team, I'm really proud of myself. I think that the team looks really great for the future, honestly. And yeah, we're going to discuss about other things. So let's start to discuss a little bit about Manchester City, because we talked a little bit about in the last part in my free draft about these players. Now obviously when you're using your wildcard, I think that going for someone like O'Reilly, going for someone like Foden, it is really much more easier, because you want to have these players long term. And talking about someone like Foden, I suspect that is going to be really popular right in FPL. A lot of people are going to try to buy him, and also by selling someone like Semenyo, who's not delivering at the moment. So again, let's talk a little bit about Foden. I think that he's a great pick, especially if you're free in Game Week 16 when Man City are going to play against Crystal Palace. You have Sunderland and West Ham at home. Other than that, so with someone like Foden, again in Game Week 15, I think that there's a good chance of him being rotated. And I think that in hindsight, a lot of people probably are knee-jerking right now, but it's hard to not knee-jerk, right? Foden got a lot of points in the last two Game Weeks, 17 points in Game Week 14, so it is he's an amazing pick. He's in form at the moment. He's not that expensive, considering that we all know that if Foden is going to get 90 minutes every Game Week or close to that, he's an exceptional player, and he's worth more than that. So I think that he's a good player. Definitely on a wildcard, I would have him, no doubt about that, because in the future, I think that the minutes are going to be good. Now, in the short term, maybe we're going to see some rotation, because there are a lot of games to be played in the Cups, in the Champions League, in the Premier League. So we could see some rotation, but I would go for O'Reilly, Foden, Haaland. I think that this is the trio I would go on a wildcard. The fixtures are decent for Manchester City: Sunderland, Palace, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Sunderland again, Chelsea, Brighton. So I think that you should have three players from Manchester City: Haaland, Foden, O'Reilly. Again, Anuary also is going to go to the African Cup of Nations in Game Week 16 or 17. So the minutes are just going to get better for someone like O'Reilly, who's a really exciting pick. So this is the easy part on my wildcard. I would go for three Man City players. The same I would say for Arsenal. As you can see from the screen, I still would go for a double defense. Timber and Saliba. At the moment, you need to take into consideration, guys, that I'm recording this video before the games tonight, so we don't know if someone like Saliba is fit to play, but I'm expecting him in Game Week 15 to be fit, so let's wait and see about that. I think that the injury is minor. Now, I wouldn't go for Raya. I think that I would go for Timber and Saliba. Now, if you bought Raya when he was 5.5 and you have a lot of money tied in him, you can just go for Raya and Timber. That's perfectly fine. But if not, if you're buying new, if we're talking new, I would go for Timber and Saliba. I think at least until Gabriel is going to be back. And in attack, I would still go for Bukayo Saka. Now, here you could argue, you could just go for someone like Rice. Maybe someone like Saka is not worth the price, but I think that I would still go for him. I still expect him to be on penalties, and the fixtures are going to be decent. And again, if somehow at some point you want to go for someone like Cole Palmer, selling Bukayo Saka is really easy to get to Palmer. So I think that it is really nice to have him in the team. So this is how I would go from Arsenal, Timber, Saka, Saliba. Now, if you want to start them in Game Week 15 or not, all of them, probably I would start Timber ahead of Anderson, who's going to play against Crystal Palace at home, but it's really close. Or if you want to start both of them, that's perfectly fine. From Newcastle, currently I have just one option, which is Chow. I think that I would go for him. At the moment, it's looking like he's the most nailed defender from Newcastle. Now, again, he's decent for defensive contributions. He's not in the team just because he scored 2 goals last game, definitely not. The fixtures are decent for Newcastle: Burnley, Sunderland, Chelsea and Man United is not amazing, but then it's Burnley, Crystal Palace and Leeds at home. And also you have really good defenders to enable, so you don't need to play the same backline every gaming. Obviously, you're probably just going to play Timber and Saliba after this fixture. From gaming 16 onwards, you're going to play both of them pretty much every gaming, because Arsenal are just the best defense in the Premier League, and it would be a nice idea to do that. Other than that, we have Anderson, who also has some really decent fixtures. He's 4.5, Crystal Palace, Burnley, Forest, West Ham, and then it's Palace, Liverpool, Chelsea. So after Game Week 19, the fixtures are going to get a little bit more tricky. So again, if you, I don't know, want to go for someone like Van Heck, that's perfectly fine. But I just think that Anderson is really decent for defensive contributions. So that's why he's one of my favorites, 4.5 million defenders. So yeah, the defense is looking pretty much okay. Now in goal, as you can see from the screen, I've gone for Verbruggen and Sanchez, and I totally understand if you don't want to spend that amount of money on goalkeepers, that's perfectly fine. I just think that the rotation is pretty decent. You're going to play Verbruggen against West Ham and against Sunderland, and you're going to play Sanchez here against Everton at home. But definitely, if you want to go for someone like Dubravka here and just save the money, you could easily just play Sanchez every game. That's perfectly fine, right? Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle. I think that the Chelsea defense is a little bit overlooked. I think they are really good defense from my point of view. So yeah, I think that these are the options. In midfield, I really like the midfield: Foden, Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Gakpo, Anderson. I think that this is a midfield who a lot of people are going to try to get to at some point. Foden, as I said before, definitely would be here. Bruno Fernandes, Mbeumo is going to go to the African Cup of Nations, so I don't see any reason to go for Mbeumo instead of him. You could go also for someone like Cunha if you want to take a punt, but Bruno Fernandes, he's a decent pick at that price. Also, the fixtures are decent for Man United. Anderson, again, talking about Anderson, we're going to take a look at the fixtures, but it doesn't really matter too much with him. Everton, Spurs, Fulham, Man City, Everton, Aston Villa, West Ham. The fixtures are decent for Nottingham Forest. They are getting better with Sean Dyche, and with Anderson, he got 10 defensive contributions, I think, in every game he played this season, and you only need 12 to get those additional 2 points as a midfielder. And he's also on some set pieces. Maybe there's a small chance of him being on penalties, but I wouldn't think of that as a given. And I just think that at 5.4 millions, he's probably one of the best, if not the best midfielders in the game. So he's a really nice enabler. You don't need to play him every game, obviously. The last midfielder is Cody Gakpo from Liverpool. I think that at the moment he's the most interesting player from Liverpool. He has the best underlying statistics. Now with someone like Gakpo, I would say similar like to someone like Foden. You're never going to be sure he's going to be starting every game. He could be benched at some point, but with Mohamed Salah going to AFCON, I think that that's going to help his minutes going forward. The fixtures for Liverpool are great. They are going to improve probably. And yeah, I would like to have a Liverpool midfielder for those fixtures: Leeds, Brighton, Spurs, Wolverhampton, Leeds again, Fulham, and Arsenal in Gaming 21. So the fixtures are great for Gakpo. I think that I would go for him on a wildcard. And the good part about wildcarding in Gaming 15, if I don't know, something goes wrong, let's say someone like Bukayo Saka, someone like Haaland are going to get injured and they're going to miss a big period of time, you have 5 free transfers in Gaming 16, so you can make some adjustment if you made some mistakes, obviously, on a wildcard. So yeah, this is pretty much the midfield. Thiago, again, I don't think that I really need to discuss too much about him. I think that everybody is going to buy Thiago. He's just probably the best striker in the game at that price, let's be honest. Spurs, Leeds, Wolverhampton, Bournemouth, Spurs again, Everton, Sunderland. The run of fixture for Brentford is amazing. They're getting penalties every game week. Now, a bit of a joke there, but it's good to have a penalty taker at 6.7 million. So, yeah, he would be a no-brainer on any wildcard. And then, yeah, we discussed. I would go for Mark Guyu because I just think that at the moment we don't really have a lot of good strikers in FPL. And yeah, if you want to change the formation at some point, you could do that. With this formation, you could even play 5 at the back. In some gamings, you could play 4-4-2, you could play 4-5-1. So it's not such a big problem. You have a lot of flexibility. It's just that you have someone like Marguyu who's probably not going to get any minutes. So yeah, this is pretty much something of a wild card I would go for. I still have 0.8 minutes in the bank, so you could make some upgrades if you want. But a lot of these players are picking themselves now. Talking about other options, on a wildcard, you could go for Donnarumma, you could go for Raya, as I said before. You could even go for someone like Verbruggen alone, and maybe um, make some other changes because you have 1.2 millions in the bank with that move, so you could make some upgrades. Somewhere you could go from someone like Anderson to someone like Semenyo or to another midfielder, but at the moment there aren't a lot of good options in defense. Now, what you're missing with this wildcard in Game Week 15, obviously you're missing the Crystal Palace players, who are a team who were pretty decent, right? This game week. Now, Mateta, Munoz, Lacroix, Richards, I think that all these players are really good. Even someone like Jeremy Pino could become an option when Ismail Assar is going to go to AFCON. So, yeah, you're missing Crystal Palace, but if we look, let's just look at the fixtures for Crystal Palace. It's Fulham away. I don't think that the chances for a clean sheet are that high. Then it's Man City. So it really depends on your strategy. As I said before, if you want a free hit in Game Week 16, then maybe having someone like Munoz could be nice for Fulham, for Leeds. Then Spurs, Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa. So the fixtures are just not amazing. Team like Crystal Palace also are going to play a lot of games in Europe, in other competitions, and maybe we're going to see that tiredness in some games. We saw that also before. So again, I don't think that this is such big. Obviously, a lot of people maybe are even considering selling Mateta right now. Let's see how the minutes are going to be looking for Mateta in Gaming 14 against Burnley. But again, at the moment, I don't think that this is such a big problem to go without Crystal Palace players because yeah, you're not going to have Munoz, but you have someone like O'Reilly, you have Timber, you have Saliba, you have other really decent attackers, defenders, sorry. So someone like O'Reilly, I think that easily could match someone like Munoz for the next few fixtures, or even outscore him honestly at a cheaper price. Also, so yeah, I don't think that you're missing a lot without having Crystal Palace attackers. From Liverpool, again, I still think that someone like Van Dijk could be a nice option in defense. If you want to go there, you could just upgrade here one of your Chow or one of your Anderson to Virgil van Dijk, and that's perfectly fine if you want to go there. I'm just not sure on a wildcard. I think that O'Reilly, Chow, Anderson, Timber, and Saliba are pretty much decent. You don't want to have too many expensive defenders, right? Because it's going to be tougher for you then to ship the money around to upgrade in midfield, in attack. So yeah, I'm not sure about Virgil van Dijk, but you could go definitely for him. I wouldn't go for Romero, I think. I wouldn't go. You could go for a Chelsea defender, it's not out of the question, but the next few fixtures, Bournemouth, Everton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Bournemouth again, Man City away, Fulham away, are just not screaming clean sheets, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I don't think that I would go there. Senesi, again, I wouldn't go for Senesi definitely on a wildcard. The fixtures are just not great. Guardiol is okay if you want to go for him, but I would just go for O'Reilly instead. Other than that, yeah, you could go for a Tarkovsky, you could go for a Keane if he's going to be fit. Again, someone like Richards, I still think that is great value at that price. Uh, so yeah, I think that we discussed a lot about the options. Someone like Van Heck could be a nice option. Someone like Nico Williams, but he's on 4 yellow cards, so I'm not sure if I would go there. If we move to the midfielders, Rice, as I said before, if you want to make some upgrades, definitely you can do that. You could downgrade Saka to Rice. But who are you going to upgrade to? If you're not going to go for Bukayo Saka, are you going to go for Palmer? Maybe. Let's see how the minutes for Palmer are going to be in Game Week 14. And then, yeah, you could go for someone like Palmer, who definitely is going to be a really spicy option going forward. You're not going to go for Semenyo on a wild card. Cunha is okay. Eze, I would try to avoid because of the minutes. I don't think that he's going to play 90 minutes every game week, definitely. Soboslai is still okay. But if you give me the option to go for someone like Anderson, Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest, I just think that I would save the money and just go for him instead of Soboslai. Enzo is still okay, but when Palmer is going to be back, he's not going to be on penalties anymore. And I just think that there are a lot of other good, better midfielders, I would say. Bruno Guimaraes is an interesting one, but 6.7 millions, I'm just not sure he's worth the price, honestly. Barnes is just too much of a risk. Kudus, I don't think that I would go there. Minte is another option who probably I would like to have on a wildcard, honestly, because he's a really good one. As I said before, I think that he's probably the best midfielder at that price bracket. But the next few fixtures are great. If you're fit in Game Week 16, you're going to get West Ham at home and Sunderland at home. But after that, in Game Week 18, it's Arsenal, and then it's again West Ham and Burnley and Man City in Game Week 21. So again, if you don't have any free, you're going to have Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City away, which are probably three of the toughest fixtures you can get away. But other than that, the fixtures are really good. So yeah, someone like Minte, if you can include him here, if you want to go for him over Anderson, definitely he has more upside, I would say. So yeah, we can do that actually. If but I just really like Elliot Anderson, honestly. So yeah, with other midfielders, I wouldn't go for Rogers. Someone like Shade could be an option, but yeah. Pretty much that's it. Someone like Enzo Lefe, if you want to really save up some cash, could be interesting. Um, yeah, we need to see. We need to see. After all these players are going to go to AFCON, if someone like Alexander Isak is going to get more minutes, when Mohamed Salah is going to be out, maybe he could also be on penalties. Probably that's what I would. That's what I think is going to happen. So again, it could change. It could change again, but you're going to have 5 free transfers in Game Week 16. So you can make some changes. And with the forwards, as we discussed before, Mateta is still a good option. If you want to go there, I don't mind it, but I'm just not sure. I just think that the midfielders have more upside at the moment. Alexander Isak, Voltemard is still okay. If you want to go for someone like him, you could do that definitely and play 3-4-3, 3-4-3 formation. I wouldn't go for Gyökeres, I wouldn't go for Bowen, I wouldn't go for João Pedro. Welbeck is again okay, but we're going to enter a really congested period, festive period, where I'm just not sure if Welbeck is going to play all the games pretty much. So yeah, other than that, that's it. That's why I would just go for someone like Marguyo for the moment. And then if at some point more strikers are going to emerge as good options, then we can think about them also. So yeah, it's really team dependent. As I said before, if you want to use your free, your wild card, it really depends how your team is looking. Obviously, if you're talking about buying someone like Foden for Game Week 15, because let's discuss also a little bit about that. I think that he's a great option. I just think that there is a little bit of a risk. So I just don't think that it's for anyone. And at some point, you're just thinking Foden scored really good points in the last 2 game weeks, and you're thinking, oh my god, I want a piece of that, you know. So but at some point I just have a feeling, not that the ship has been missed with Foden. I think that he's still going to be a decent option going forward, but I just don't think that maybe this is the best week to buy him against Sunderland at home. But again, he could, it doesn't mean that he scored a lot of points last game week. He's not going to do that again in Game Week 16, and a lot of people probably have a fear about that. So a lot of people probably have FOMO about Foden. That's why they are bringing him in. So yeah, I think that long term he's going to be a decent option. Is he going to score 2 goals every game week? Probably not. Is he going to play 90 minutes every game? Probably not. So between someone like Foden and Gakpo, I think that they are really similar options in terms of minutes, and in terms of underlying statistics. I think that Cody Gakpo is way better. I think that he has better expected data than him. But again, it's Liverpool. The fixtures are still good. You're just never going to know if he's going to start every gaming. But again, with AFCON, we could see some good minutes for someone like Cody Gakpo. So it's really a tough decision which way to go around. But again, if you want to make a punt in gaming 15, you could go for someone like Gordon. You could go for someone like Gakpo, Foden. Uh, Players like that, if you don't mind selling them in gaming 16 when you're going to get 5 free transfers. Now, what I would recommend any one of you, every one of you, to try to not use all of your 5 free transfer when we're going to get them in gaming 16, because in an ideal world you want to carry some of them. So if you want to use 1, 2, let's say 3, that's okay, but I would try to carry as many free transfers as possible to be prepared to make a lot of switch also in the second part of the season when we're going to have a lot of blank gamings, a lot of double gamings. You want to maybe use some of those free transfers before using your wildcard for the second time we're going to get blanks and double gaming. So yeah, pretty much that's it. We're going to move also to the last part, and let's discuss some cheap strategies. In the last part, we're going to discuss some cheap strategies. Now, if you're not interested in this part, fair enough, you don't need to watch it. I don't think that a lot of people have all their chips available, or a lot of them available, but some people ask me on stream to try to make little guide about how to use your chips if you have a lot of them obviously available, and yeah, when to use your chips. Now again, it's just the first part of the season. It's really hard to say to you this is the best option to go, because we don't have any doubles, we don't have any blanks gaming, so it's not that easy to say which is going to be the best gamings to use them. But I tried, and yeah, to be honest with you, the first two options are my favorite ones. If I had all my chips available, or even if you don't have all your chip availables, maybe this guide also is going to help you a little bit. I would be using one of the first two options. So I would wildcard in gaming 15. I think that this is probably the best time to do it. If you didn't activate the chip earlier before, I would free it in gaming 16. Triple captain in gaming 17. If you want to use your triple captain, if you have just your triple captain left, I think that gaming 17 is the best week available to use it when Erling Haaland is going to play against West Ham at home. Now, if you want to use your triple captain against Sandren at home in gaming 15, that's perfectly fine. That's not a problem. I think that the triple captain chip is the most overrated chip, as you can see from my own performance. I triple captain Erling Haaland against Leeds when he blanked, and now he scored 14 points against Fulham away. So it's just a lot of luck involved in a triple captaincy in a single gaming, but I think that gaming 17 is the best window to use it. And bench boost, again, in gaming 18, if you have all your chips available, it's really tough to argue and recommend you when to use your bench boost. Now, my second, not my second favorite, another option, I think that it's just amazing. If you still have your bench boost left, if you still have a decent squad who you can bench boost, I would just get rid of the bench boost as fast as possible. I would use the bench boost in gaming 15, free it in gaming 16, triple captain in gaming 17, and then just wildcard in gaming 18 or 19 for the second part of the season. Because am I saying that is because you want to use your bench boost when you have 4 playing players on your bench, and after that I would use the wildcard to have someone like Guyu, maybe have some cheap players on the bench and focus more on your starting 11. That's why also I really like this strategy, and probably this is my favorite strategy. If you have a team who affords doing that, to bench boost obviously in gaming 15, I would go with this strategy and just wildcard as late as possible, basically in gaming 17, 18, 19, whichever week you want, and just prepared for the second part of the season. The last option here is to wildcard in gaming 15, use your bench boost right away. because obviously we know that this is a good strategy, and minimize the risk of some players missing out or being injured. So I think that this also makes a lot of sense. Triple captain again in game week 17 and free it in game week 18, 19, as late as possible. Maybe we're going to have some postponements because of the weather. Maybe we're going to have some blanks, some double game weeks, but I think that the chances are really low for that to happen. So yeah, pretty much that's it. I don't think that there's a right or wrong here. I don't think that this there's a best window to use some chips. Now with the triple captaincy, arguably game week 17, logically, in my mind, in my brain, game week 17 is the best window to use the triple captaincy. But other than that, it's team dependent also. If your team is looking okay right now, just use your other chips and wildcard as late as possible. If you want to change, I don't know, 10 players out of your 15 players, then just use the wildcard in game week 15. I think that you don't really need to delay too much that. As I talked before in my video, I talked a lot about a wildcard draft for game week 15. I think that it looks great, and I think that this is probably the best opportunity to use the wildcard if you can do that. And then yeah, free hit game week 16, 18, 19 is just your choice. Again, just prepare. If you're going to wildcard in game week 15, prepare to have players who are going to have good fixtures in game week 15 and in game week 17, because there are a lot of players who work like that. Man City players, Crystal Palace players, Brighton players, if you want to free it in game week 16. So just take that into consideration. But again, I'm not so sure how much helpful this guide was, but again, when to use your chips, just find the best windows for your team and just be done with it, because there aren't a right or wrong. Thanks a lot for watching this video this long. Hopefully it wasn't that long, but yeah, thanks a lot. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye.
Bag pura lor, când mă întreabă oamenii de unde sunt le zic de va. Apoi îmi bag pura lor.